Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Combat Initiation reaction. Today we have Castle Crashers as requested by Veliky Dust in the comments of the last one that I did for Combat Initiation. It was about a month ago, and I remember really enjoying the last song by FP Lester, so I'm expecting very much the same quality this time around. Maybe not the same influence. I don't expect it to sound like Undertale again, but if it does, I wouldn't be necessarily mad, but I won't know if I don't listen. So without further ado, let's go! I love it when people start with like a heavy atmosphere to really set the tone. Just kind of a simple rhythm line here. I know he's gonna build on it. There it is. Completely shifting the sound. I love beat skips. They're so fun. There's a little bit of Megalovania in this one, just a little. Especially with that, the bop, bop, bop. Classic. The 3-hit sting. I really like that pattern. It's just, it's an earworm. I really appreciate that. I've heard it before, but it's one of those tried and true sort of approaches to a guitar part. I like that he's bringing back in those, like, orchestral elements, that cinematic feel. Before going right back into this. Going up from there. I like that he's keeping it dynamic and not just doing the same thing. Woo! 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 A little bit of halftime love. You'll always find me on the side of loving that sound. I talk about it all the time. This is a very long one. I didn't really look at the like the time code before. This has a lot. I'm so used to like LMSs from this game. When it's a long theme, I'm like, what? It's really the fact that it continues to have something new. That's what's really making me appreciate it so much. Like, there was the organ. That was a new element, more or less. Once again, tying back to that cinematic sound from the start. I know it's the same solo as earlier. But it's still really just, it's linear, straightforward. I mean, you could kind of say that about this whole song. There's not too much in here that feels like it's, like doing too much against the grain. So it's safe, but it's consistent, you know? Am I hearing like a flam on the drums there? I'm gonna have to listen back to see if there's like a flam going on there. Unless I hear it again after this, but I doubt it. FP Lester, dude. I said it in the thumbnail, I think, of the last video I did, but like, man, he's going places. Okay, FP Lester, you got me. I'm going to pull out my electric guitar for a little bit of this one. I'm not good, by the way, so if anyone is a player out there, I got a $200 one from a local shop a few months ago. That's literally my extent of knowledge on the electric guitar. I do understand how it works, though, as far as the concept of playing. It's just that the hand no work the right way, but I do want to explain this as best I can in the one thing I think I can kind of sort of do. But first, let's just talk about it in the musical way I know how to, which is by using a keyboard and breaking things down that way. So just to start off, he has a lot of fun in this one. FP has a lot of fun with just chromatics all over the place. For those who don't know what that is, basically just scales, having things that are, especially in chromatic scales, right next to each other, little half steps of notes that make those sorts of like climbing effects, like the did-it, like those sorts of things, which is the thing I'll be trying to play on the guitar. There's a lot of back and forth on this, which is very popular in especially metal. They love to use their chromatics. They love to use things like the Phrygian scale, Mixolydian, stuff like that, what are called modes of the musical scales. And you know the standard ones, of course, stuff that you would sing in choir class or whatever in school. But at the same time, there are a lot of different ones out there as you get deeper into music theory and start to expand how musical theory is approached and when and where to apply certain things. And a lot of metal loves to use Phrygian dominant, for example. So for what that sounds like, you might recognize this as stuff you hear in movies for things like the Middle East sound or the Egypt sound. It's very popular in that part of the world. That's kind of where we borrowed it from and have adapted it as such. And that's just one of those factors of these scales that makes them so interesting, is how you can apply them to things like metal. I actually just talked about this in a few videos ago, where they use it a lot in metal just because it's a little bit more melodic, but also darker. So things like chromatic scales aren't necessarily fully adjusted to that, but they use a lot of the same principles of having these like neighboring notes by each other that have this crunch in them that just feels really interesting to play and hear. So when you get down to making things in music like that, you want to be able to have a strong backbone. So using stuff like chromatic scalings are very important for that, keeping things just a little bit more nasty, you know, great for metal, great for that tone that just sounds a little bit more beefy. For the case of this song specifically, we get a bounce back and forth between the A and the G, and an A sharp and a G sharp. So basically it would sound something like... And again, we're using a lot of these neighboring clusters of notes here. All of them sound awful together, and that is totally fine when you're playing them in this chromatic fashion. And for that halftime break in there, it changes it up a little bit, keeps the same like general cluster of notes that we get, but they borrow from a lower section to kind of step away from that and root yourself back to the bass and the music in the tonal center. So that one goes... and just in general in that family. So instead of having this cluster we had earlier, we would have this cluster here, which might sound exactly the same. I promise you it's not. It's one note difference. There's a lot of movement here, but it's all very close. And again, that's exactly the point of having something like a chromatic climb and utilizing things like the Phrygian scale in metal, because it's just so sexy. And now I'm going to jump onto the guitar so you can see what that looks like on an actual guitar. And again, no promises here. And as you can see, I am trash, and I'm okay admitting that. That's what learning is about. Mostly what I've done on the guitar has been largely open chords, standard chords, nothing like metal stuff, not too much of it at least. That sort of stretch can really give you carpal tunnel, and given that I'm an unk at the ripe age of 30, that's harder for me to do these days. I can still do it, and I'm learning. Again, that's what practice is for, but it is hard. I'm not going to try that other riff for the halftime. That is way too much gymnastics. I did try to figure out where those would be on the guitar, and it's like, that ain't happening. Not at speed, at very least. But the notes on the keyboard hopefully will give you the answer for all that stuff in there. And just as a more overall view of this song, it's fun. He had a lot of fun with this one. You could tell he had a lot of fun with it. It sounds fun. And I love what he was doing, like messing around with having some of those more cinematic elements in there, keeping things fresh constantly, bringing things like the organ in there, just keeping the song moving and not letting it get boring. There was obviously the repeat in the song, so I was hearing effectively the same thing twice, and that's fine by me because I love to be able to hear more elements of the song, be able to notice more things included, and again, those changes are where that comes into play. Having the exact same song looping over and over again can definitely get boring, so keeping other elements nestled and hidden in the song to keep things a little bit more fresh is a great idea in general anytime you're composing anything. So if you're interested in composing yourself, keep that in mind. Always have something else in there, even if it's subtle, even if you're just kind of putting it underneath the rest of the song, something that might take a little bit longer to pick up on. Keeping it more subtle in the mix is a very good idea, just so things don't get too boring, because as the brain hears the repeats over and over again, it will start to drift and notice other things in the song. So leave little Easter eggs, but don't leave them in there constantly, because then it'll just get annoying and it'll run into the other issue of there's too much. There's a sweet spot of adding little things, but not adding so many layers that it's just a mess too. But as a result of hearing this song, I know why this one got so popular. It's handling all of the aspects of it exactly as they should. And again, LP Lester doing an amazing job at keeping all that flex together. I am very sorry about my guitar playing. If Lester is a guitar player themselves, you saw me struggle. You would know. Anyone who's watching this knows that I'm not really a player, and that's fine. That's why I'm working on it. But nonetheless, it's the fact that this song is still fairly simple. Like I said in the reaction, having the basic rhythm section going in there, just those simple chords, simple progressions, but that's the type of thing that works the best in most cases. Don't add too much. Don't, like I said earlier, adding too many layers, trying too hard, doing a bunch of like acrobatic shit can be very exhausting to the ears, to the people playing. So keeping things simple, but also fun, keeping it fresh. This is something that FP Lester did last time and is doing again. This concept of not overdoing it, not overstaying your welcome, and writing a song that sure might be simple, but at the end of the day is the strongest because of it. There's plenty of other things I would like to talk about in this song, but honestly, trying to figure out that guitar thing took me like half an hour of non-recorded time because I'm that bad at guitar. Just trying to get that pattern down was a struggle just to get what I got out of it. So I'm not going to talk about more because I am running out of time for today's recording session. So thank you all so very much for watching. Hopefully that doesn't disappoint you too much, but if you have another song you want me to get to, by all means, drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. those. Hopefully it won't take me as long to figure out the musical stuff next time. This was kind of an experiment. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't even know how I sounded. Hopefully adding the guitar into the mix didn't ruin a bunch of stuff and I can still include it. But I have been trying to add more musical theory stuff in here and being able to talk about that. Most of the time I will just stick to the piano, especially given how new I am to the guitar as a general point. But that aside, if you have another song you want me to get to, drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. But if you don't want to do any of that, you just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!